Okay, I'm back in the Connex, and what I'm going to be doing today is working on replacing these two wires because they got hot when I was running my clothes dryer. Sorry, it's cloudy out, so we have to run the generator to charge our batteries because the solar panels won't charge them. Okay, so kind of tight quarters, but here goes. I will show you what cables I'm going to be replacing today, and then we're planning on moving the battery bank to a different location in the Connex from where they're at right now, because we have some water lines there and we just don't feel comfortable that they're that close to the water lines, just in case something happens. So I am going to be replacing this wire right here, and then replacing back here this other red wire right here that goes up to the bus bar. Those are the two wires that got real hot the last time I was doing laundry. Not running the washing machine. The washing machine doesn't draw much, but it was the 240 of the dryer that just heated those cables up. Those are 6-gauge wire, and what I'm going to be doing is making replacing those wires with a 4-gauge wire instead of a 6-gauge wire, which should be able to handle a little bit more load and not heat up. In theory, that's what the plan is. So I'm going to make up my own cables. So if you want to just tune in or hang in there while I make those cables and then swap everything out, then perfect. Okay. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I need to measure how long those wires are to make the wires that I plan on replacing them with. So I feel like the first wire I am going to make is going to be about a 12 inches to connect this right here, which is the positive to our inverter, to our fuse, our 250 amp fuse that we have here. So that one's going to be about 12 inches. The other one I'm going to make probably about 6 inches. It's about what that one is. That's going to go from the other side of my fuse, my 250 amp fuse, to my bus bar on the positive side. So that's what I'm going to be working on next. So I have this, almost lost my phone. I have this cable here. This is the 4-gauge wire that I'm going to be making those cables out of. And just so y'all know, I am not a licensed electrician. If you don't feel comfortable making your own cables and connections, then you might want a licensed electrician, somebody that knows solar, to make them up for you. But I have all the equipment or the tools that I need to get that done. little bit bigger, better workshop. That right here. Right about there. My cutters. Just gonna cut off a piece. There. And then I am going to cut off this last little bit here for my smaller piece. And there you go. So, got my longer wire here, and then my shorter wire here. And now I need to strip the ends. As you can see, I need to strip off some of the insulation on the ends and put my connectors on both sides. These are the connectors that I will be using, and then once I get that cover off of the inverter on the positive side, I'm going to have to double check to see what size lug that is so that I can make sure I have the correct end that goes into the inverter. So I'm just going to go through and make some of those up. Not going to some hydraulic crimpers out there, but I did not spend the money on those. These are just brute strength. Is kind of how you connect these. Fun thing is trying to get it to hold on there while you're doing the cable. Stay there. Come on, slide in there. Okay. Yeah, I like to talk to my work. I've always done that. So here we are. As you can see, some serious. Make sure that it's on the right size so you can make sure your connection is super tight. Okay, and then there's one crimp. Okay, I am not going to do the long end of this one until I know what size lug actually goes into the inverter, because I think it's a little bit bigger lug than this one, but I got to double check. But this is the size that's going to go on the smaller piece on both ends. that I got, just picked up from the local Home Depot. Not a huge fan of how thin the insulation is on it, but it seems to work. We picked up some more wire in the past from Home Depot, and it's seemed to be working okay. Just clean up these ends real quick. Okay, this time I'm going to use the ground and adjust you guys there a minute. Kind of see what I'm doing here. Maybe. Things just don't seem like they always go super easy. Again, you know, life doesn't always go as planned, right? So a little bit easier to use this tool when you have a little bit of leverage behind you. Okay. Perfect. There goes. So Connex has been kind of a work in progress this whole time. Of course, work in progress. Story of my life. Mine and Mark's, my hubby. Anyway, we put up a few, or he put up a few shelves just to make things a little bit easier, but kind of needs some sort of workbench in here, so I'm sure that's going to be a project in the future, because crazy enough, we plan on taking a Connex with us to Alaska. I mean, we may have some serious crazy plans, but hey, you never know until you do it, right? So we're gonna do it. Why not? Right? Okay, there you go. There's my ends. Check to see if they're nice and tight, because being electrical, if it's not nice and tight, that creates heat, and heat on wire is not good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover those with some heat shrink. And I know this is black wire. Unfortunately, I did not pick up red wire because this wire's not cheap. So I'm going to use some red shrink wrap to remind me that this is a positive wire. I may even wrap it with some red electrical tape just so we can identify this as a positive wire. So here goes. Maybe I can get a little bit smaller heat shrink. Yeah, that one fit much better. Okay, so heat shrink. So I'm going to heat it up, and that'll shrink it around the wire and my connection. Okay, obviously my wire is not going to work, so I'm going to pause you for a bit and come back with a lighter that actually works. Whoa, I almost dropped my cell phone. Anyway, haha, I found a lighter that will work. Okay. I mean, it's probably a little overkill, right? And good and shrunk around that. Okay. Trunk propane off. When I used one of these for the first time, scared the crap out of me. But look at me. Sorry, I had to go grab another shrink wrap. Okay, fingers work. There you go. Just like so. Alrighty. One cable done. And here is the shrink wrap for the longer piece. Done until I can find out what size lug goes on that end. Alrighty, next we need to make a couple more cables so that we can move our battery bank, and I'm going to pause you and bring you back when we're to that point. Hi there. I did not get a chance to video when we moved our batteries over and I was redoing the cables for our inverter, so I'm going to go over what we've done since I videoed and redid some of the cables. I actually learned that I still need to up the size of cables from my battery bank or my bus bars to my inverter. I have learned all of this solar stuff pretty much on my own. A lot of it I'm glad I did, because if something breaks or it needs maintenance, I know quite a bit of what I'm doing, even though sometimes I still have to look up for instructions. We did go ahead and get our solar package from SunGold Power. This is not a sponsored video. They did not sponsor us. I have really liked their product, and they have some really great packages out there. Their tech support has helped immensely. The downfall is that it's all, you buy the parts and pieces and you put it together. I had almost all of the solar panels put together, and the inverter and the charge controllers put together before I talked to a technician that actually gave me the paperwork or the instructions on the wiring diagram that I needed originally. So that's why I'm having to upgrade the wires as we go. And the only reason I've had to upgrade the wire gauge to a higher gauge is I'm trying to run my electric dryer on the inverter. The inverter should be able to handle it. It's an 18,000 kilowatt inverter. I calculated our needs based on the 2,600 square foot home that we had prior to us selling. The reason we sold the house is because we are moving to Alaska in May of this year, 2025. So we're camped out on my daughter's property, which I've said before, until they're ready to move, because they're moving with us. We're remodeling a house of theirs that is over 100 years old, and we're getting to the point where we're doing tape and mud, drywall, tape and mud, and paint. So we're trying to get that all buttoned up so that we can get it put on the market and get it sold, so they can come with us, and then we can all move together. But here's what we did. I didn't record everything that when we were moving it, because we did a whole put up shelves and everything in the Connex to make it a little bit easier to work in here, because as you can see at the beginning of my video, I was struggling because there's not much room in this Connex. So, or any Connex or shipping container, whatever, however you call it in your area, this is kind of what we got. So we have a little propane heater, which is great in here. It keeps it pretty warm. That is what the temperature is currently in here with that little heater, and we have it turned all the way down. Here is our inverter. It is real heavy. We had to get real creative to get it up off the ground and put it on the wall, because again, it's really heavy. I don't remember what the specs are, but very heavy. Okay, so here is that cord here. That is how we are charging our batteries when it's cloudy from our generator, our backup generator, which of course, if you don't have enough sun, solar panels are not going to charge your system. So this is our setup. We have some breakers to shut off the solar panels up here, so as we're working on our system, we can make sure that there's no power coming in from the solar panels. And then there are our charge controllers, so that we can keep everything charging from the solar panels. Sorry, I'm technical difficulties. My phone's not staying nice and tight on my selfie stick. And then we've got our wires going in neutral, or negative and positive wires going into our bus bars. And then we have a 250 amp fuse right now, which those are the wires. Again, I told you before, I upgraded to 4 gauge. I'm actually going to go back through and upgrade those to 2 gauge wire. I'm just waiting for some more of my copper connectors to come from Amazon. But here's our system there. And then as I told you before, we were moving our batteries because they were right there by the water lines. We are moving our batteries, so where we moved them is over by my dryer. So we have 600 amp hour lithium ion batteries. Really great setup. Again, it's been able to run everything that we need it to run, minus my wires heat up when I use my electric dryer. So that's why we're going to be upgrading that wire gauge. So that's kind of the way, or what we're working on, or what we've been working on. I'm glad we're learning this down here where we know we can get things a little bit easier. But hopefully I'm pretty much a pro by the time we get to Alaska. Anyway, we do plan on taking this shipping container with us when we move to Alaska. That's going to be an adventure all on its own. We do have a trailer we'll be putting it on and towing it up. We actually have quite we do have quite a few things that we're taking up with us. Some people might think we're absolutely crazy. If you think I'm absolutely crazy, if you think think we're absolutely crazy, comment. Let us know what your thoughts are. We have a 32 or 33 foot travel trailer that we'll be pulling up. That's where we'll be living until we build our cabin in Alaska. We have a 28 foot enclosed trailer with all of our personal items. We have a 25 foot boat that we're going to be towing up. We have 2 trucks and a Jeep. We also have a side-by-side that we'll be towing up on a flatbed trailer, and then again this Connex. So it's going to be interesting to see how we do there, and we have a couple family members that might be able to help us out. So I'm definitely going to be recording that adventure. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and if you like what you see and you want to see more of our adventures, subscribe, like, share. We appreciate all of your support. Thanks so much. Again, Little Country Bumpkin. I'm Yvonne. Thanks for watching.